We cross to, actually come back to you, Chair, on this matter of lands pitting the Minister of CS, if you like, against the NLC Chair. And the question really has come down to who's fooling who. We spoke to you last week on phone about these statements that were, was reported. You said that they need to basically pretty much be sacked, be fired, gotten out of office, because this appears not to be an issue of mandate or whose role is to do what, but a personality clash, that it's two individuals who appear not to either be able to work together or not willing to make it happen, and even alluded to perhaps there being a hand that's playing into this, hence this playing out for over 2 years now since they came into office. You still hold those thoughts? They need to
let me say what I actually said, Sophia, which I stand by, is this. That the Chapter 5 of the Constitution is really, well, every chapter in the Constitution is important. But I think Kenyans will remember that land was a very emotive issue in the discussions around the Constitution. And so, brief as Chapter 5 is, it contains very fundamental land reforms that the people of Kenya wanted addressed. And land touches on many aspects of our lives, including political, socio-economic, and so on. And therefore, within the context of implementing the Constitution, it is important and urgent that we get the land reforms right. Now, the principal players in the whole process of land reform are, on the one hand, the National Land Commission, and we must remember why the National Land Commission was created, particularly in its mandate relative to public land, and on the other hand, the mandate that is given to the national government and specifically the Ministry of Lands. Now, as CIC, we have been involved in trying to assist a common understanding of what the respective mandates are of these two principal institutions, bearing in mind that the Constitution contemplates that the two institutions will complement each other. Meaning, if they don't work together, if they don't complement each other, then we will not achieve the land reforms. As CIC, we have attended at least 20 meetings in an attempt to help resolve that issue. Some chaired by the presidency, others we have ourselves convened, but generally trying to resolve this issue. I have to say, and I say this with all due respect to the Supreme Court, that I was a little surprised that the Supreme Court, when NLC sought an advisory opinion, that the Supreme Court said to them, go and discuss and resolve.
It threw it back to them.
When you seek an advisory opinion from the Supreme Court,
it's because you've been unable to agree.
Not only that, and my two friends who are both lawyers will agree, you go to the Supreme Court on an advisory opinion for them to clarify, to give an opinion on issues of law where there may be a difficulty in a common understanding. Why the Supreme Court was unable to do that, I don't know. But beyond that, our own particular perception, and this is now how I came to make the statement that I did, is that the problem here seems to be an inability of the two institutions to work together more than a problem with the law. And I have to say...
the institutions or the individuals leading the institutions?
Well, it may be
to be clear.
You see, they speak for institutions, so it may be the individuals, but I would rather focus on the institutions. But in fairness to the National Land Commission, I am aware, for example, that the various attempts to resolve this issue, including the latest one, which is where a technical committee met after they had had this meeting with the president. And the truth is, the reality is, that the technical committee had representatives from the Ministry of Lands as well as representatives from the National Land Commission. So what I would expect is, if there are a few issues that they need to streamline in that report, which is supposed to provide a solution. That's fine. That's understandable. But to come along and then reject the report in its entirety and take the whole process to square one suggests to me that there is a lack.
They're being a bit dishonest.
Yes. There's a lack of dishonesty. In this case, I have to say, particularly on the side of the cabinet secretary.
All right.
And then, this is the point. I'm saying that if they are unwilling or unable to work together, because we cannot achieve the land reforms without them working together. If they are unable or unwilling to do that, I was addressing a parliamentary committee and I told them, in your oversight role, make the determination of who is unable or unwilling here to deliver the mandate on behalf of the people of Kenya, and get them to step aside. It's really as simple as that.
Yes,
Okay,
Michael, just one thing.
Let's bring in Ambrose, who's been quiet for a while.
Let me hear from Ambrose, and I'd like to hear from you whether you feel that really the personality clash, or should even the description of jobs and assignments be so clear to a point where their personalities should not even come in?
The description of jobs is so clear. You don't even need a lawyer to interpret the Constitution. It's so obvious that the National Land Commission is in charge of public land, the custodian. With regard to private land, their role is advisory. They advise government. They can give and advice is to take and reject. But theirs is on public land. They have spent 2 years crying that we do not know our mandate, somebody is encroaching on our mandate, Land Commission under Swazuri has failed. That is a fact. The other people led by Ngilu. Ngilu is a politician, playing also politics. He has no constitutional mandate on land, but on private land, government will issue title deeds. So even going to the Supreme Court to interpret this, it is so obvious. Swazuri and his team should have done their part. Then they say, this part of ours we have accomplished. This part of it is supposed to be complemented by government. The part that government was supposed to compliment us on, they have not done. Swazuri has not done anything. They're just crying here, Ngilu is stopping me, Ngilu is... When that land in Langata was grabbed, that's public land. He himself could have come out clear and said, gentlemen, according to my maps, this is public land.
Okay.
And it has been taken.
Yeah. Senator, would you say this, that there is a person whose agenda is being right now met by this squabbles being this protracted? It's ongoing.
I mean, definitely it creates a vacuum in the whole regime of land management in Kenya. And I have heard investors complaining that the processes are taking an undue length of time. We've heard of these, continued illegal allocation of lands. We've heard the lack of clarity of information, even when it comes to Langata, which is, I think, on one side, using populism, saying this is public land, but then do nothing. It's owned by Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Or this.
So is there a hand playing into this?
Let me tell you, my brother Ambrose, it's easier said. This is there. You find I remember even when negotiating the Constitution at that time, there were people who were saying, "Oops, the land ministry is going to be a shell," and said, "Why?" Because literally all basic functions about land management had been put under the National Land Commission. But you have to realize when you talk about what they're saying, this is a minister who uses state security to go and close down a ministry and says she's trying to rearrange the files and gets the president to come and greet her as she's doing this rearrangement, whatever they are. They come to Mombasa, close the registry without reference to anybody. So it's easier said that Swazuri is just complaining. There's a way in which they need the requisite political backup for you to execute your mandate. Then you have a scarecrow National Assembly which says, oh, we are pursuing a certain action against Ngilu so that we remove her from Ministry of Land. Then before you realize the whole thing has been scuttled somewhere. It's just a scarecrow kind of tactics. So I think whether we like it or not, Swazuri is not a politician. And I used to be a commissioner, and I have my soft spot for commissioners, particularly they're dealing with the political class. we take Nyachai, put him in a commission, then bash him from a political point of view, then, you know, he cannot have a forum every weekend to defend himself. He does not have this type of forums that we have in the political class. One of the things that drove me into politics is partly because I found myself sometimes doing work that I legitimately had under the Constitution and the law, and finding politicians going the weekend, bashing you everywhere, calling for your prosecution and everything else. So what happens is we need to protect constitutional office mandate holders, or particularly those the constitutional commissions under Chapter 15. It is not right for us to appoint people who are not politicians per se, and then try to use political processes to undermine these institutions. And therefore, what more can Swazuri do? Can Swazuri ask the AP or the Kenya police, let us now go and reclaim the land registry, which Ngilu has closed for 15 days or 20 days or whatever numbers of days, and the president has come actually to supervise the work that is being done. Right. So therefore, it's not easy.
Let me just add, I think we defend even having a register of public land in this country. Swazuri doesn't have, his commission doesn't have, they don't know. I don't think Ngilu would have stopped them when they said, now we are starting, we want to know our mandate is on which land. And then they have those registers, and they keep them. They don't have, they're just yapping here and there.
Yes,
Ambrose.
Yes.
I have nothing against this cabinet secretary, but I think you're being too soft on the cabinet secretary. The point is, there was a transition. You know, there was a Ministry of Lands, so the transition must have been from the original Ministry of Lands to the commission. This is where the problem started. That if the ministry was not going to facilitate the commission to be able to take over those aspects of its mandate that were previously under the Ministry of Lands, that's why, or that's part of the reason why they have had a problem from the start. So while I don't defend the commission wholesale, but I think I do. To be fair, I think that, and this is why I think the court should just have resolved the issue,
absolutely,
rather than sending it back to them. But I've heard both of you saying Ngilu is a politician. If she's still a politician, she has no business being cabinet secretary.
All right, let's